episode 22 of Be Cool. My name is l.shima. For those that do not know me by now, or if you're new, like you might be on Periscope, or you might be new on Ustream, I am a full-time model, and this is my podcast called Be Cool. So, basically tonight, I had the topic being figure modeling. So, I'm not sure how many of y'all know what figure modeling is, how many of y'all have actually done it, if you're an artist and you've been involved in that aspect of figure modeling, or if you're a model and you've obviously been a model for figure modeling. But usually how I handle my episodes, if you are new to these Be Cool podcasts, I usually will get into the topic a little bit like 5 minutes later, for the idea that I would like to kind of give y'all an idea of how my week has been going, if anything has been happening currently in my life. I don't really know. Thank you for all the hearts. I seriously appreciate it. So, let me know, honestly, especially y'all on Periscope and Ustream, let me know how y'all's week has been going so far. And if you are also watching this way late, so on YouTube or SoundCloud, definitely send me a message on how your week has been. Seriously, I honestly love to know how my fans, followers, supporters, whatever you want to be called, are doing this week. Because I like to know exactly who's technically following me, who knows of my work, and what your day is like. Like, I like to know how other people live their life. So honestly, don't be scared. I literally am like the most harmless person in the entire world. I don't know. I mean, I will kill a fly and a cockroach, but that doesn't technically mean anything. And thank you for sharing this on Twitter. Seriously, Periscope, for some reason, does not want to share it on Twitter. I don't know why, but thank you for sharing it anyways. So, alright. So, as far as my week goes, I don't know what that was. I kind of wanted to start off with a little rant. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get into the beginning of a podcast with somewhat of a negative situation, but I promise it's not going to be bad or anything like that. It's just something that happened that I feel like it just needs to be said, and it's just, there's no point in trying to hide the matter. I'm like beating around the bush right now, just trying not to even really talk about it. So, an incident occurred, and thank you for giving me the obligation to rant away. A situation occurred literally the other day, and I'm very thankful for the overall the overall meaning of what happened, but how it was executed was not my favorite, and I'm not going to name drop or anything like that, except for what I'm about to do. You'll understand me, trust me. So, for the longest time, I've been called l.shima, l.shima. You can call me L, like literally a physical L. You can call me Shima. You can call me l.shima. You can call me l.shima. I don't care how you call me, but that's how I like to be called, is l.shima. That's how I promote my work. That's how I have it on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Tumblr. That's how I promote my brand, is l.shima. Now, throughout the 5 years of my career, I've always been asked, what does the L stand for? And I've had a few people be super fucking smart and be able to guess what the L stands for. And I congratulate you on that. This is not about you whatsoever. This is not really about anyone, honestly. It's just something that I wanted to throw out there because it's to the point. It's gonna happen eventually. It already somewhat happened, so I might as well let it out there. So yeah, for the longest time, people would try to question what does the L stand. They, would try to guess all these random names, and I would either say yes, or I would never actually say yes or anything. If it was a close photographer, usually I would just be like, yeah, you guessed it, whatever. But a lot of times, I would just be like, no, it just stands for my first name. I don't like my first name, but, if you really want to try to figure it out, go ahead. But honestly, there's no point, because I would rather go by Shima. So an incident happened, and my full entire name got leaked, in a sense. I handled it as best as I possibly could. I'm doing fabulous. Thanks for asking the one. How are you doing, actually? How are all of y'all doing? But I handled it as best as I could for it being leaked. And more than enough people saw it. Literally, I think I'm going to say at least over 200 people saw it. I'm for sure more than that saw that name, but I'm going to just say it was around 200 people. So I was very, very upset. I wasn't upset at the individual that leaked it. I wasn't upset at the people that saw it. I wasn't upset at that. It was just more the fact that I've been trying to hide my full name from people because I just don't like it. So, for those that are obviously do not know me on Periscope or possibly Ustream, Shima is technically my name. There's a lot of models out there that use an alias because they don't want their actual name to be out there, especially if they're associated with nudity or porn or things along the lines that they don't want their family members to find or even good friends to find. And that makes sense. I used Shima because that was part of me and it actually is my name. But it was something that I could technically hide if I really wanted to. Growing up, people don't know me by Shima. People in my high school would never call me Shima because that's not how I introduced myself back when I was younger. So I completely understand in a sense when models want to have an alias, but then there's, the times when models actually use their real names. That is up to an individual. I'm like beating around the bush at the same time, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. My L stands for Laura. That's my first name. Shima is my middle name, and Darby is my last name. There you go. So for be cool and be cool only, and maybe some people on Twitter, the fucking 200 people already saw it, that is my full name, and I do not like it. The only thing I like about my full name is the initials the initials for it is LSD, and it was just very funny growing up writing LSD on my folder, even though I've never taken the drug. But the idea of like finding druggies in my high school that have taken it, and you're like, whoa, that's your initials? Right on. Okay, I'm not that old where that was the lingo, but still. So I don't like those names. One, because Laura is very generic. It is very, no offense, but very white girl sounding. I am half white, so that's totally understandable. But it's just more the fact that it's just very generic. There's nothing pizzazz about it. There's nothing like interesting involved with it. And it's just something that realistically I just don't care for it. There's nothing interesting about it. And especially with modeling, I want to be able to stand out. And having a name that stands out, that's unique and different, is one way to stand out in your actual, your photos and such. And thanks for the compliment of saying nice name. I really appreciate it. I don't personally like it. And one of the issues is Francis. He always will call me Laura. And that's something that I just have to accept. He's introduced me countless times to his friends or other individuals, or if we have a model in town, he'll accidentally slip and say my name's Laura. And it can be kind of confusing to a lot of people, especially if they hear that my name is Laura, but I'm coming off as Shima. So I completely understand. Like, I ease off on his friends. I ease off on him when they call me Laura. That's how they were first introduced to me as, so that's how they know me by. So that's the same situation with my family. My family's not going to call me Shima. Although, little known fact, my mother wanted to call me Shima. So again, I'll get into the figure modeling topic if that's something you're really interested in, but usually I like to start off the episodes with kind of something that's going on. But my mom wanted to originally name me Shima. It's actually my middle name, like I said, and it's my grandmother's name, my mom's mom. She was full Japanese. Her name was Shima. My grandma died 2 years before I was born, and so my mom wanted to name me Shima based on her mother passing. But I have 2 older siblings, and they both were understandably really sad about their grandma passing, and they didn't want to call me after grandma's name. Understandable. Kind of weird, though, that my siblings had a say in what my name was going to be, but that's totally fine, I guess. So growing up, I was content on being called Laura because I had no other idea of what my name should be. And I thought that was the name I was given, so I should, abide by that, obviously. So my family's not going to call me anything but Laura. So if you ever meet them as well, you will hear my first name being called, and I will answer to it. So even my friends, too, they originally in high school, they met me that way. That's how they're going to call me. When it comes to my last name, the last name is Irish, so that's where you get the Irish blood of me, Darby. I don't know how to do an Irish accent, so I'm just going to not try. But basically, Darby is my father's last name, obviously. And again, little known fact, my father's not part of my fucking life. So me having that name attached to him It's just there's no reason. Why should I have that name? Like, he doesn't want me, I don't want him. There's no point behind it. So I didn't want that also to be released because there's just no point in having my last name. I just don't, like, okay, I can marry Francis and get Vallejo, but honestly, that's no reason to marry someone. It's just for their last name. So realistically, that's why I've kind of been hiding the identity of my names. Does your family know about your career? Yes, my family definitely does know about my career. They've known about it since like the first 6 months of it happening. And so I've been trying my hardest to hide it. The reason why I don't like the name Laura, but I still use the initial L, is because before I got heavy into modeling, I dabbled in photography. I thought I was going to be a photographer. I went to a community college and took classes for it, found out eventually it was not my thing, but while I was testing the waters with photography, I needed a photography name. You always need a photography name, and I didn't want my name to be Laura Shima Darby or Laura as my photography name. So I tried, like, I even called myself Vermilion Photography. Fucking dumb, but I called it anyways. And it worked for a little bit, but I kind of got tired of that name. So I was trying to search for a better name for my brand for photography, and one day I was in Photoshop and I put l.shima.d because I really loved my middle name. I showed it to Francis, and he said, it looks good, but you either need to get rid of the L or you need to get rid of the D. So I took away the D, and that's the creation of l.shima. That's how l.shima got born. So I just stuck with it with my modeling. I thought it sounded interesting. It was different. It's definitely unique. That's why I go by Shima if you call me that, because that's what I prefer. But if you want to call me l.shima, go ahead. There's people that call me L, which is kind of interesting. But I will possibly maybe answer to that, but just at least eventually say l.shima, and I will eventually catch on to that. You come so far that I don't think people will call you by your first. And that's one thing that I wanted to mention. So when this got leaked out, over 200 people saw my government name. Like, they leaked my fucking entire name, which was ridiculous. Again, not their fault, but just the idea, like, whoa, that was intense saying that. So over 200 people don't know who I am, and they saw my entire full name associated with a couple photos of me, and they, being new, and it's not their fault, and it's totally fine, they're going to associate myself with that full name. So I'm hoping that y'all, I'm Be Cool, because this is why I'm telling y'all I'm Be Cool, because I trust y'all, and I, feel like y'all know me a little bit more than you once did when you first, found me and such. But I'm hoping that people will understand that that's not the name I want to go by. I feel like at a certain point that when you first got introduced by me, I hope it was l.shima or just Shima, and that's what you're always going to stick by. That's like, Alejandro, using you for an example. You called me out, or you came at me as Alejandro. You didn't call me, came at me as Alex or Ali or whatever. I don't know. I'm thinking of a name based on your fucking name. Sorry. But, if you came at me as Alex, I would call you Alex. Or if you used Alex as your header for a lot of your social media, I would probably call you Alex. But the name that I see the most, or the name that you approached me at first, is the name most likely I'm going to call you forever and ever and ever. So that's why I'm not mad that Francis won't ever call me Shima, or my family won't ever call me Shima, because they didn't meet me as Shima. They met me as Laura. So basically, I just want to throw that out there. It was something that I was very upset about that when it happened, but now looking over it, I feel like it's just best that it was out there, because if for whatever ends up happening, if I do become Brad Pitt famous, I'm pretty sure fucking paparazzis and journalists will find out my first name anyways. So, whatever. It's good that I at least got it out there before all hell broke loose. I don't even know. So I wanted to throw that out there. So, yay, now y'all know, and it's only technically y'all, so don't go spreading my fucking name, please. Trust you. Another thing, sorry, and then we'll get into it because I'm really excited. So you follow me on Twitter, you know of how much of a freaking dilemma I've been having trying to find an appropriate water bottle. And I've looked on Amazon, and originally I had a water bottle that was actually a chocolate milk carton, but it was made out of glass, and it was 32 ounces. You mentioned in an earlier interview, but people still call you Shima. I know. Did I really mention it? I might have slipped. Thank you for the explanation, Shima. No problem. Just don't call me late for dinner. What? So So yeah, I had a water bottle. It was 32 ounce, originally a chocolate milk glass bottle, and I used the shit out of it. I loved it. Oh my god, I just choked on my spit. I unfortunately dropped it on concrete and it just shattered. And it was embarrassing because it was with a client and it was just horrible. But hopefully no negative terms came out of that. But I lost that water bottle and I was very bummed about it. But I was like, alright, maybe I shouldn't have glass because of the possibilities of it breaking. So I went on Amazon and I was needing a water bottle. Especially with my workouts and such, I need a water bottle. So I ended up looking up aluminum, and a couple people have referred me to like a hydro flask or something along those lines. And I did a lot of research, and if you don't know me by now, I'm fucking cheap. I don't like to spend a lot of money. So hydro flask was way out of the picture. I know it probably lasts forever and it's awesome, but spending $20 on a water bottle was just not my interest. So I kept looking, and there's obviously plastic, and the idea of I want a huge water bottle that I can just fill up once and be able to last a quarter to a third of the day with. So a lot of plastic bottles offer that, which was awesome, but with the idea of BPA free and all that, like having it in a hot car for a certain amount of time might like leak out some juice. I don't really know. I didn't feel like dealing with that. So I decided, no, I don't think I want a plastic one. So it's either aluminum or it will have to be glass. So I looked up aluminum. I'm like, there's a couple, but there's rare times where there's like good, huge aluminum water bottle that's also cheap. So I'm like, I'm still having this dilemma. So me and Francis went to a really fancy schmancy home store in Detroit, and they had these really nice glass water bottles, but they had like an outer layering to it where it was like a soft feeling where like it possibly, if you dropped it, it should not break, but it still probably would break. So I was like, ooh, that's cool, but I looked at the price, $45. No, thank you. So I kept looking on Amazon to try to find a nice glass one, because ever since the glass one that I originally had, I just fell in love with having a glass water bottle. It just seems nice, it feels nice, it looks cool. Like, I don't know, I just was really more into having glass than any other material. And so I decided, I'm like, okay, the only cheapest glass bottle is $20. I don't know if that's worth it. So realistically, all I have to do is just buy chocolate milk again and get another water bottle that's glass like the old one. So what did I do? I finally got my water bottle back. It's been so long, but I've very much enjoyed it. I'm so happy. So yeah, now I have a water bottle too. I took a huge gulp to indulge in. All right, guys. Sorry, those were my little rants. Google Yeti. Is that okay? Feel like I've heard of Yeti. Let me write it, because now I have a pen and pad and I can write things that y'all give me notes on. Is that the same as the one that broke? Yeah. It's only like $3 at Whole Foods for this awesome glass water bottle. So I just got it, and it was technically my fault for it breaking because I wasn't holding it right. It was like in my arm with like a huge coat, and I had a whole bunch of other stuff in my hand, and I went to move and it like slid out and busted on the concrete. So technically that was my fault. So as long as I hold it like appropriately, maybe with 2 hands, or I hold it at the brim, I should technically be fine. But this thing is badass. Look at this thing. You can't say no to this awesome water bottle. Look at it. Maxell. Hi Shima, I found out about you as l.shima, so you will always be l.shima to me. Yay! Thank you. I hope that is going to be for everyone, and I hope even the new ones will still call me l.shima or Shima, whatever. But thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, so honest fact, this topic I'm excited about. I'm super excited about. I didn't prepare as best as I possibly could. Wrap it up with fancy tape so you have more to grip. Good idea, but it looks so pretty. I don't want to like wrap it up with tape. It looks so pretty. I'll think about that though. That's actually a good idea. I might like wrap it up like right here, or maybe the bottom. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll play around with it. But, no, I didn't really prepare much for this episode. I procrastinated. That's my fault. I also was late to this episode, so again, my fault. So literally my notes for this episode is like through 2 little things. So, I know you didn't see it, but whatever. So hopefully my brain will not trail off, and I'll be able to have very good, structured, directions. I don't know what to take this. I'm already starting off not too off. But alright, so tonight's episode is about figure modeling. I would say raise your hand if you know what figure modeling is, but there's no such thing as raising your hand. So you can tell me if you know what figure modeling is, or you can say no. I don't care, because I'm still going to tell you, so it doesn't matter, honestly. Although I'm very curious if nobody knows what figure modeling is, because that's a very, thumbs up works. If you have a thumbs up emoji, do thumbs up if you know what figure modeling is. Don't know if there's a down thumb up. What is this called? No thumb, I don't know, emoji, then do that if you do not know what figure modeling is. Sitting on the floor sometimes. Oh, and Alejandro asked me, where are you taping? I am taping in my new and improved studio. So eventually this will look a lot nicer. I won't be on the floor. It will look more like I'll be in a forest, maybe add some more grains. I don't know. But I'm in my studio. So this is going to be the concrete place that I record my episodes. So just FYI. Alright, so figure modeling. Let's see. Alright, so for those that do not know what figure modeling is, although a lot of people on Periscope have did a thumbs up, so I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all should know, I'm trying to find my best definition. I'm really bad at describing shit. Figure modeling is when an artist, usually like an illustrator or a painter, or usually those like that type of artist, needs a model for any type of study. So to study anatomy, just study clothes, to just get an idea of how to draw the body of a human being. That's what figure modeling is. They usually hire a model. It doesn't have to be a professional model. It can be, a homeless person from next door that, has an interesting look, or it could be a professional model. It's totally up to the artist on what they want to draw. So they usually will hire a model to do poses for them. So we understand the poses that I've done, as far as modeling goes. You see the photos of my poses, and that's kind of the idea. So, a photographer comes at, okay, so say this is a studio. I'm trying to find like the best description to like a five-year-old. Like if a 5-year-old asked me, what is figure modeling? I would be able to say this. Okay, so imagine this is the studio. So we got a light source. We got, say the camera is the photography camera, and then me as the model. All right, so for an actual photo shoot, usually what ends up happening is the model, will hold a pose. But that pose will literally be held for maybe 5 seconds, not even. Because nowadays, technology, they have DSLRs, and they shoot constant rapid fire within milliseconds. So realistically, a model doesn't have to hold a pose in a photo shoot for very long. I know, a lot of 5-year-olds are asking about figure modeling. I mean, you never know. A kid might come up to you and be like, what's figure modeling? I don't know. I'm preparing for the future. I don't know. So, so I ended up, Shima, back into it. So, so you technically don't, as far as photo shoot goes, models don't really realistically have to hold poses for very long with new technology. Now, if a photographer is using film, especially like if it's a Heidelberg, I think that's a film camera, then of course they need to get their exposure, and the model needs to hold the poses for a little bit longer than they're used to. So if a model usually holds a pose like this, and that's how fast they move and pose and do stuff, then when they're shooting with film, they need to hold that pose a little bit longer. So maybe, instead of doing it really fast, they hold it for a count of like 10 seconds, maybe even up to 15 seconds. So my favorite figure pose, oh my god, usually with my arms up and like an arched back is usually my best, but I'll get more in detail on maybe why that's not the best pose to do for figure modeling. So when it comes to photo shoots, realistically models only need to hold a pose for 5 up to 15 seconds. Not super long at all, honestly. It happens so fast to the point where like you need to just move, like almost dance. Like you just need to move with the movements of your body and like make up different poses, because that's how fast it's going. Also, the photographer is constantly moving as well, so different angles change rapidly as well. If obviously the photographer's on a tripod, then the photo is just going to be in that one spot. So that's photo shoots. Obviously, definition of photo shoots. With figure modeling, the artist may not, and back in the day, they didn't have cameras. They had to work with what they saw. So back in the day, models would have to hold poses for long periods of time. So all the way up from like 4 hours, I would imagine. Like that might be one of the longest poses. Actually, probably not, but that is a long pose, and that's just one pose. So imagine this is the pose that the artist decides to have. I would have to hold this pose for 4 hours. Now, nowadays, there are cameras, so artists can take reference photos of a pose if they really like something and the model doesn't either have time to hold it for, or, they just physically cannot hold it for that long. But usually, and I feel like I need to get Francis in here because he's an artist, so he's like better suited sometimes to talk about like the art side of figure modeling. But when it comes down to the time nowadays with figure modeling, technically the shortest amount of time is like 30 seconds, and that's called a gesture. That's just a quick drawing that the artists have to do. So it's not going to be perfect. It's just going to literally be gestures. They're just kind of getting the gist of how a body is laying or how it's standing or how it's, on a person's body. And they're just doing that gesture super fast because there's no fucking way a person can draw so much detail and render a human body in 30 seconds. Like, I just cannot see that being physically impossible. I don't know, maybe Francis can say if it is or not, but I just physically cannot think that's possible, mentally, whatever. And then all the way up to 4 hours, technically being one of the longest. So, with the pose that I said would be my favorite figure modeling pose, holding this for 30 seconds sounds easy. Right? Like, you're just having your arms up here and you're just chilling. There might be times when you're like on the computer and you're hanging out and you just want to stretch your arms and you hold this for 30 seconds, right? Well, one thing about figure modeling, you don't move. You can move. Like, if my wrist starts to hurt, I can do that real fast and then go back into it. But realistically, it's nice for the artist to not have the model move. You want to hold the pose as best as you possibly can so the artist can get it as accurately as they can. So that being the case, holding this for 30 seconds, again, sounds super fucking easy. It is not, my friends. It is not easy. So I'll get more in depth with that, but I kind of wanted to talk about my history with figure modeling to kind of give y'all an idea where I'm coming from. Like, if you're sitting there, why should we believe you, Shima? We don't know. You just shoot photos all the time. How do we know you've done figure modeling before? Well, son, I'm about to inform your brain. It's kind of like yoga or planking. Kinda, but yes. Kinda, but yes. Kinda, but yes. Kinda. I don't know. Kinda. We'll keep with kinda. So with my history in figure modeling, where should I begin? And this is when like a thought bubble comes up and like a past image comes in. So when I started modeling, I just turned 18 and I did a couple of photo shoots right when I turned 18. And I was experimenting with it, didn't know if I was actually going to be a model, didn't even think I'd be here and today in my life, whatever. But I eventually actually found Francis. So this is also how I got into figure modeling, aka how I met Francis. So I was browsing through Model Mayhem because I wanted to have a paid opportunity. I have been doing trade photo shoots and I felt like it would be nice to like get paid for something, like, just hey JR, just to get paid for something. So I randomly came across Francis's Model Mayhem page, and his bio kind of gave a gist of what he's looking for as far as figure modeling goes. I've never tried it before in my entire life, so I wasn't even really sure on what was involved with figure modeling at this time. So I was very nervous, one, because meeting somebody I've never met before in my entire life, and two, doing something I've never done before in my entire life. So I didn't really know what to expect. I was imagining in a blank room with a whole bunch of easels and a model in the middle and people just drawing, and that's pretty much it for, I think the amount of time was like 3 hours, I feel like. Yeah, it was 3 hours. So I was very curious on what was about to go down. So a quick gist on me meeting Francis, just to add that in there because this is fucking kind of related, is before I met him, I was trying to do research on to figure out who was this artist. Because originally when I thought of painter or artist, I was thinking of an older gentleman. Like, no offense, but I was literally thinking of like an old white male. Like, that's my vision of what an artist was at this time. So I was thinking Francis was just going to be this old white guy, and he had students to teach, and like it was just going to be me and just whatever with lights and shit. So I get there and I see Francis, and immediately I'm like, whoa, he's really attractive, and hopefully I cannot be a fool right now. But he originally took me to the room that we were going to be drawing the figure session at, and our good friend Orlando now, he wasn't my good friend back then, but Orlando was there, and that's when I met Orlando, and then met a few of the students there. And so I was actually, my first experience with figure modeling was clothed. So there you can do clothed or you can do nude. I mean, you can do lingerie if you want. I mean, it's totally up to the artist again. But my first session was clothed. I found out later in life that Francis had me do clothes because he wasn't fully sure if, one, if I could handle doing figure modeling, and two, if it was actually legitimately over the age of 18. So he didn't want the chances of a 17-year-old fucking posing nude because that will look horrible. So I ended up posing clothes for this first time, and it was only a portrait. So when it comes down to when it was a portrait, I literally sat on a chair and had a basic backdrop like of white or something, and one light on me at a certain angle, and the students had to draw it. So usually it would be pretty much like as if, I put my hair back on the side. So a portrait obviously can be pretty much what you're seeing right now, from literally the lower ribs, whatever the stomach, whatever this is called, to the head. And so it could either be face on, it could be to the side, it could be like, I don't know if I wanted to do that for some reason. It could be anything, but as long as it's somewhat of a portrait, obviously. Midsection, thank you. So I did a basic portrait of sitting in a chair, and all I had to do was just hold a blank face for a good 30 minutes, I think. I can't honestly remember. Abdomen, another good term for that area that I cannot call. So I basically held that pose for that amount of time, and the students would draw the details on my face. So drawing the chin and the nose and how the shadow creates that cut underneath the nose depending on where the light source is coming from, and how my eyes are this way, and whatever what they want to draw. So that was what kind of started off. So then I eventually worked more with Francis as far as the figure modeling went, and this time I was introduced to nude figure modeling. And I wouldn't say, it was kind of technically intimidating. One, I was around a guy that I thought was really attractive, so that was super intimidating. But two, it was just a whole room of people. So with a photographer, it's usually most likely just me and that photographer, and I'm nude, and it's usually like not super weird. I mean, the idea is kind of weird. Like, if you're an outsider and you're like, you were nude with a photographer, that's just kind of weird. Whatever. It technically sounds weird, but realistically it wasn't. But being in a room completely naked with us, just surrounded with students, was so nerve-wracking. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know anything. So I got up on the stage, I derobed or undraped, whatever the term is, and bam, just full on naked. But everyone was super professional, obviously. And so how Francis organized it was we start off doing quick gestures, so from 30 seconds up to a minute poses. So, and then eventually, sorry, I'll get into detail. I keep like jumping spaces. And then going from quick gestures to long poses from 5 minutes to 7 minutes, and then longer poses from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. I don't think he honestly had me for holding an entire pose for 3 hours. Did he draw you too? Yes, he did. And I didn't know what to expect with, damn 10-minute poses. Yeah, you're telling me. So I didn't know what to expect with his drawings. I didn't know anything about art at that time. So I wasn't really sure if it was like good, but I thought it was good. I even thought some of the students were good. But the crazy part is, so get this, when I would do figure modeling with the students, I would look at everybody's work, here and there and stuff, and I would see some of the students' drawings. And I mean, they're students, so they're learning. But I would be like, is that really what I look like? Like, is my head that big? Like, I don't know, like, y'all are drawing me with my head so big, or, like, my shoulders so wide, or my, like, wrists so tiny. Like, it was so interesting to see their perspective of me and transferring that to drawing. It was so insane. But, of course, they're, like, learning of proportions and, like, accurately, like, the distance between shoulder blades and all this other stuff. I don't know. So anyways, that was technically my first experience with figure modeling. And then from there, I honestly worked with figure modeling through Francis. So there was events where they would do live events where it was called Chroma, and then one was called Art Erotica. They would have live figure sessions in front of all of these just normal people walking by and seeing the action of an artist actually doing figures, drawing. So that was really cool to be part of that. It even looked cool, like, on my resume. Like, I did Art Erotica or Chroma or something. Everyone has their own style. That's what's so cool about artists. I know, right? Literally, I can't even go there because we will go there. All right. I think that's realistically my history. From then, though, I would, if an artist reached out to me and they're interested in hiring me for figure modeling, I'll totally most likely do it. The only thing is usually figure modeling, at least through a business, so like through the schools that, for instance, that's teached at, or through other schools, usually, and this is for models information, typically they don't pay extremely, like, awesome. Like, I don't like doing this, but I'll just throw it out there. I already fucking told y'all my name, so I might as well just tell you this. But my average currently, because it does change, my average current rate for clothes per hour is $150. So you might say that's extremely high, you might say that's an extremely low, I don't know, whatever you say, that's just my rate, so get over it. So anyways, but that's my rate for an hour clothes session. For an hour nude figure modeling session is usually averagely $15 an hour. So when you're a first-time model, that sounds fucking awesome. You're like, damn, like $15 an hour, that's more than the $7.50 I get working at the sandwich shop. And that was me. So I was super amped about it. But now looking at it, and if somebody comes and says, oh, it's $15 an hour, it's like 3 hours of my time is $30, like, or around $30. Like, it's like, damn, that's not a lot. Okay, I'm adding wrong. Sorry, that's more, 15, 30, $45. Added way off. So I was so, like, amazed seeing that now, and that rate has never changed. It's just so interesting. But that's just how a lot of artist companies, so schools and such, will offer. Just FYI for the models that do watch this episode. Now, for me personally, if you reached out to me and you're an artist, I'm sorry, I can't abide by that $15 hour rate. It's just, it's not going to happen. So I'll try to work with you, but realistically, it's not going to be anywhere near that $15 rate. But, some models may accept it. Now, I feel like I've talked about it in the past, but, usually you pay what you're getting for. Obviously, same thing with photographers. You pay what you're getting for. So if a model is content with $15 an hour, you got to possibly understand that they may not be the best that you could get. So like 50-50, maybe not for me, but maybe for somebody that will be perfectly fine an hour. I'm not going to talk about my rates because I rarely actually ever share that with more than one person at once. I usually just give, if somebody asks me for my clothes rate, I will tell them, and that will be just a personal SGO. Should be 200 clothes, 500 an hour for nude. Thank you. That sounds amazing, but I don't think I'm technically worth that yet. Well, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. So yeah, okay, so that was my history. I don't think there's really anything else about my history. It might come up if you have questions. Obviously, y'all are so sweet. Stop. Like, I know y'all think I'm worth $200, but man, like, Now I sound like I'm selling myself. Okay, let's stop selling myself right now. You're making me blush. Okay, so back to the holding of poses. So, my brain's all over the place right now. So yeah, like you mentioned on Periscope, 10 minutes, damn, that's a long time. Yeah, that's a long time. So okay, we'll start from the lowest of lowest. So holding this for 30 seconds. Doesn't sound bad. Do it. Hold this, literally, I can't see you, so I'm just going to trust that you're doing this. Let's hold this for 30 seconds. I don't have a timer. Let's find a timer. Let's find a timer. Timer. Hold on, pulling up internet. New window. Pulling up window. Timer. Alright, no, can I like adjust the time? Stopwatch, that's what I want. Alright, I'm gonna hold this for 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure y'all will last watching me hold this for 30 seconds. If you want to test this out with me, do it. So I'm gonna tell you when we're about to start, okay? So, okay, I'm gonna start now so my hand is just, no, okay, hold on. Let me relax this hand. Alright. So, for 3, 2, 1. Hold your arms up here for 30 seconds. So just wait for me with 30 seconds and then tell me how you feel. If you tell me that you feel perfectly fine after 30 seconds, then awesome. Let's go for a minute. I'm going to go until y'all start crying on me with 10 pairs of eyes staring at you. Yeah, imagine that. So we're about 10 seconds away from being done with the 30 second pose. So 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you can stop. So obviously your hands are not going to be too much in pain, right? Like I lifted weights literally yesterday and my arms weren't super in pain, but you could start feeling, sorry, I can't see it, Ustream. You can start feeling something starting to ache. So holding that, not too bad, but then keep in mind your other body parts, because these artists can see the entire you, not just your midsection or abdomen from your head like you can see from me, but they can see where your legs are positioned, because a lot of times, especially when it's nude, they're seeing full body. They're not, they're not just going to draw just your arm. They're going to draw the entire part of you for 30 seconds. So obviously my hands are up, but then my legs could be like, on the ground, but like crisscross or something. And my torso, I'm trying to still suck in because that's just what you do. And then, if you want your chest out or if you want your back arch, there's so much behind it. So 30 seconds sounds a little easy, but then holding it is a little bit more trickier. So recently I actually did a figure modeling session literally on St. Patty's Day. And it was clothed. But from doing 4 years of straight photo shoots, yeah, this isn't sounding fun at all, Shima. Oh, I'm sorry. But doing photo shoots for, 5 years straight with not really any much figure modeling, going into a figure modeling session for the first time in a while, I would get used to pointing my toes, because it looks a lot nicer. You're going to see my dingy ass socks, but like pointing my toes looks a lot prettier for photo shoots instead of like flexing. That doesn't look as attractive as if I pointed. Yeah, my dingy socks. There's something stuck in my sock. Anyways, so I would get used to pointing my feet a lot. So when I came down to the St. Patty's figure modeling session, I kept going into a pose, but always pointing my feet and realizing, I need to not point my feet. Because again, do it now if you want, point your feet for 30 seconds. That is going to hurt. The feet are probably going to hurt a lot more than your arms being above your head for 30 seconds. Like my feet are starting to weaken right now because holding this for this long is exhausting. So eventually I gotta like relax the body because it's not luxurious. So keeping that in mind, that's only 30 seconds. So holding that for a minute, holding that for 5 minutes, holding that for 30 minutes, holy shit, it's ridiculous. And usually if you find a good artist, if it's going to be a 30-minute pose, they usually will have you laying typically or sitting, something in a more relaxing position that your body can probably hold for 30 minutes. And usually if it's going to be a long pose, they typically will have breaks for you. So if it's 30 minutes, you might do the 30 minutes, but it might be 30 minutes, and then you have to, you take a 5-minute break, and then you have to do it again for 30 minutes, and then a 5-minute break, and then get back into that same pose for 30 minutes. Now, holding, remembering exactly where that pose is, because again, these are artists that are drawing from life, so they have to exactly have the same form and the same light and the same position exact as where it was before it moved. So usually how Francis does it, and I don't know if a lot of, if every artist does it, but usually they will tape certain parts of your body on like where it was on the floor or the chair or the couch or wherever you were at, so you know exactly where your arm was. So if my arm was up here and my foot was right here, he would probably tape a piece of tape where the foot was on the floor, and he would put a tape right where my elbow was and probably where my hand is. So I would try my hardest to get similar into that same position as best as possible. So you'll have moments like that as well. Maxell, did you ever have to itch holding a pose for a long time? So let me drink water because I can feel my throat starting to like ache on me. Yes. So let's talk about like a 10-minute pose, since that's like in between like super ridiculously crazy long and like not too bad. So 10 minutes is it's a lot. So when you're holding a pose, so we'll do this one because this one just for everyone can see. When you're holding a pose, yeah, for 10 minutes, holding this for 10 minutes fucking sucks. To the point where my muscles will start aching and they will feel like they're either going numb or they're about to fall asleep, or that, there is an itch that needs to be done. So obviously if there's like an itch right here, I can just scratch it because it's right there. But like if there's an itch on my armpit, or if my muscles are really aching to the point where like I cannot stand it any longer, Francis will say if something's hurting on you as a model, just let them know because they'll call break. What I like to do, and that's just me, but what I like to do when something's either hurting or I need to readjust or if I need to itch something really bad, I just quickly move one arm, itch it, and then come back try to remember exactly where that arm was originally and come right back into it. So here's this hand. So I see, 2 fingers are right here and then 2 fingers are up here. My thumb's on the other side and this hand is grabbing around the wrist area. So what I will do is I will remember that feeling, so I'll ingrain in my brain that there's 2 fingers right here, there's 2 fingers up here, my thumb's back here, and this hand is grabbing the wrist. So what I'll do is remember that in my brain, bring this hand, itch what needs to happen, and feel back where those indentions technically were, and try my hardest to get the fingers and the hands back to where it naturally was in the first place. Now, of course, we're all human, and things can't be perfect, so the artist needs to suck it up sometimes if the fingers are not perfectly aligned like it was. But it is in the model's best interest, because they're getting hired for this, that they need to hold the pose as best as their ability that they can. So if you're getting hired for that was starting to hurt. If you're getting hired for a 10-minute pose to hold for, you better hope that the model will hold that pose for as long as they possibly can without any issues. Okay, that's a pretty cool way to did not say that. I think you said REM a pose. So yeah, if something itches, the artists aren't going to be assholes, or they at least shouldn't be assholes to be like, you can't fucking move, don't move. So usually they'll do breaks, and then if something's seriously itching you to the point where you can fix the issue really fast and then go back up to the pose, do it super fast, but try your hardest to remember exactly how the pose was before you moved. That will not only help you, but it will help the artist in the long run. One of the things, and it's fortunately never happened to me, but it's happened to Francis and a few other artists, that, so with photo shoots, us models want to be looking our very fucking best, like the best that we can look in the entire world, because these people are taking photos of us, and who knows where these photos are going to go, so we want to look the best. We want to feel the best. So a lot of times, I typically don't do it, but I know there's models that do, that don't eat because they want to keep that slim, sleek figure of theirs. And some models bloat when they eat. So, or even some humans. I'm not going to just say models. There's some humans bloat when they eat. So a lot of times models will not eat for photo shoots because they want to look skinny for the shoot. whatever, that's what they want to do, go ahead. I'm going to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before I go to a shoot or something. So, technically, that's not that bad because with photo shoots, there's a lot of breaks. You're, again, only holding poses for a few seconds, and it's almost like nothing. It's almost like you're just dancing a little bit, just grooving with the music. So it's not too bad. But when you get into the figure modeling world, you're holding these poses. One pose hurts a shit ton, and your body is using all of its strength to hold your arms up, so your muscles are contracting as best as they possibly can to hold this these weight up. And then your legs are holding your entire body up for 10 minutes without like bending your knee or moving. Because you also think standing is easy. Stand without moving or adjusting your legs for a minute. You get to know that that's really hard. Me doing the standing desk is ridiculous after a while. So models sometimes don't understand because, again, they want to keep that nice figure on them, even with figure modeling. So they decide, oh, I'm just not going to eat because it's almost similar to a photo shoot. I can hold it, whatever. I just want to look slim. They will end up fainting. Don't do that. Please don't do that. How I like to handle it? I don't care, honestly. I will look the most fuggliest, fattiest at a figure modeling session if it means for me to be needing to eat, because that is like my worst nightmare if I baked during a shoot or if something goes wrong with me at a photo shoot. So I would handle it the same situation at a figure modeling session. So please eat if you're a model. Please do so. If you're a photographer and an artist, please eat as well. We don't need you fainting on top of it. But that makes it also harder on the artist that is hiring you. There has been stories that Francis has mentioned that models have fainted during his sessions, and he has to stop the class, obviously, to make sure this model is fine and is not going to harm themselves. So it's unfortunate for the students because they're paying to be part of this class, but they're getting time taken away because the model fainted. It sucks for the person that's dealing with, that's hosting the course or the class or whatever that has to handle the situation, because that's kind of like, oh my god, did I do something wrong, kind of scary moment. And it's, of course, fucking sucks to be the model because you fucking fainted. So please don't be the model that doesn't eat. Please eat. Please be fat during your figure modeling sessions if that's what it means. I feel like, because Francis actually loves to draw very interesting, unique individuals, if the best way to say. He doesn't like to draw pretty people. So pretty much in the nicest term, best. If you're super ugly, he would love to draw you. Meaning the way like wrinkles fall on people's faces and stuff. So the older you get and such, having all those wrinkles and such, that he finds that so awesome. If you have like a crazy bone structure that just like sucks in and like goes out, he thinks that's so awesome. And if you have like a lot of fat on you or very super muscular, he thinks that's even, Mr. Periscope. He thinks that's awesome as well because it's something that he can like do awesome shapes with and like things. I don't know. We'd have to bring him in for another episode for this season. But yeah, so I realistically like. And usually also, another other bonus. So not only do you need to eat, but also make sure you ask the artist how you should arrive. Should you have your hair down or have it up? Because again, when you go to a photo shoot as a model, you want to be pretty. So if they don't have a hairstylist and makeup artist, that's totally fine. You most likely be able to handle it ourselves. But when it comes down to it, with figure modeling, most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, artists want to see your true features. They don't want anything enhanced because that's not the purpose of it. Now, you might get the artists that like that, but that's on them. But a lot of my times with handling figure modeling, I had to come with completely no makeup and my hair not crazy primed. Alright, the one asked the question. And sometimes they want your hair up, so make sure you have rubber bands to keep those things out of your face so they can see your entire neck or whatever else. Sometimes photographers like or artists want your hair in your face so they can have like this super interesting, unique design to their paintings. But just make sure, if you're a model, to ask the artist exactly what they're looking for when it comes to the figure modeling session, because they might not want you with eye makeup or fake eyelashes, because they want the actual true way your eye looks without any enhancements. So yeah, that's another thing. I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about, so that's awesome because I am only an hour into this. Awesome, that usually never happens. The one you mentioned that you had a question, so I'm assuming that you're writing it down, so I will patiently wait while I think of, oh, there it goes. For nude figure, do you have to be trimmed or etc.? I mean, what's the deal with that? So, I'm not trying to think. I'm not like, I'm just trying to think of the best way to answer this. So, with being trimmed or not being trimmed. So, this is a very related but yet kind of off tangent question. So, when it comes to being trimmed, sorry, I'm just getting comfy now. When it comes to being trimmed, that is completely up to the model. Completely up to them. Some models like to be completely bare. Some models like to have a full bush. That is completely up to them. Living in Florida, I actually had one photographer reach out to me saying that they strictly want a bald surface. And that was the photographer's quote-unquote fetish. I don't really know why the photographer wanted it that way, but that's what they wanted, and I actually ended up not doing that shoot, not because of the reason of the trim or anything, but just because it didn't work out. So sometimes photographers realistically can request certain things like that, but majority of the time that's completely up to the model. That's the same situation as if you see models that have, like female models that have the armpit hair. That is completely up to them. That does not make for you to be like, you need to shave that shit. That's not fucking whatever societable. I don't even know if that's a word, but like that's up to them. They're human beings. They'll do whatever they want. So if they want to have a full-on bush, then let them ride with a full-on bush. Reason why, again, off tangent. So when it comes to like figure modeling, yeah, that's usually like Francis will not. He doesn't care if the model comes with full on or full off. Like that is completely up to the model. I've had a couple people actually in my entire career, and so I'll just state this now or forever hold my peace, even though I've stated it countless times in the past. If you ever see any of my nudes, I actually technically have somewhat of a bush. It's actually a choice of mine because I don't do spread legs, especially if I'm naked. Like that's just not don't do that. That's personally not me. But usually it's just because I saw actually a London model a long time ago. She talked about her reasoning of why she keeps it somewhat like, shaved, somewhat not. It's because it kind of hides the whole vagina fucking anatomy and shit from photo shoots, and it doesn't make it completely like out there, but it also doesn't like completely hide everything, so it keeps that kind of like sense of like mystery in a weird way. So that was very random, and I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, that's just to answer anyone's random question that they were just randomly thinking of that. Next out, is it common figure modeling is more about picture taking with cameras or artistic drawing? Is it common figure modeling more about? It's usually when somebody uses the term figure modeling, my first instincts when that term is being used is it's artistic drawing. So it's a painter or an artist drawing a model live right there using that as aspect. I've had actually here in Michigan, I've had a artist reach me out and do figure modeling, but they only took photos of me in certain poses so he can use as references for his paintings. So it's kind of a mix, but in the long run, usually figure modeling comes down to it is if it's going to be used for painting purposes or illustration purposes, or if it's going to be used just as photography and being posted online for the photos. So modeling is usually associated with just photos and photography, while figure modeling is usually associated with artists and things along those lines. Hey, Derek! And it's called figure modeling because it's based on the figure. So obviously, if it's more about portrait, that's still technically figure modeling because it's about your figure. But if you're drawing, this plant, that's not obviously called figure modeling. That's called what is it called? Damn it. Still life. Yeah, I got it, man. So if you're drawing this plant, it's called still life because it's still. It's not going to be moving. But if you're drawing a human being, or I don't know if an animal consists. I don't even know if that's. I don't know if that's even a thing. But at least for the humans, it's called figure modeling. So yeah, still life. Yeah, Derek, we got it at the same time. Is there anything else? Honestly, my throat's kind of hurting. I'm trying to think if there's. Can y'all tell me anything? Like, do y'all have any questions? Like, last week y'all were super chatty. This week y'all are more like mellow. See, that's what I was saying last week. Sometimes y'all are super chatty. Sometimes y'all are like not so much. So, I can't think of anything. I talked about the poses. I talked about don't faint on people. I talked about, I can't think of anything. I talked about some other stuff, my history with it. I've talked about what is figure modeling. I think I got it straight. What? Your name? Yeah, I talked about that too. No, you kind of covered everything, I think. Yeah, I think so too. I've only covered what I know. So what I'm excited about, we're not quite done because I always forget about these points, but we're almost done. So next week, I hope I have my special guest. So she, I've never met her, but she has worked with Francis. All right, I'm going to answer that one. Okay, has a model peed on themselves when being still? I'm going to get to that one. Remind me of that one after I announce next week. So, yes, I'm hoping I have a special guest next week. Yeah, you did, Derek. You missed like an hour worth of stuff. So, I'm sorry. And I was even late, too. So, only like 2 minutes late, so, you know, not a huge deal. But okay, so this model, yeah, I've never met her before. She's actually worked with Francis. That's how I know of her, because she's worked with Francis. And I'm very curious because I wanted to talk about this topic before she came, because she's done figure modeling for Francis and a lot of other artists. And so I wanted to hear her version of what I basically just discussed tonight. So I thought that would be interesting to hear me talk about my experiences with it, and the next week you should be able to hear her experiences with it. She's a completely different look than I do. I'll show her photo to y'all. But realistically, I'm not 100% sure if she's going to be in attendance next week, because apparently, according to Francis and according to my experiences so far, she's not very reliable as far as contacting her through email. Yeah, your fault for starting Godfather. I mean, I've never seen that movie, so I need to catch up, but your fault. No, I'm just kidding, Derek. You can catch up eventually. No, she's not a flake. So she always, she's so reliable for Francis. Like, literally last Wednesday, both of his models canceled and couldn't make it, so he randomly texted her, in the morning on the way, or no, the night, I think it was the night prior or something like that. He texted her to see if she can make it, and she actually was like, yeah, totally, fine, cool, I can make it. So she's definitely reliable when it comes to, making sure she's there and all that other stuff. But she's just really hard to get a hold of. That's what I'm having. So Frances has said that she said she can do next week. But I'm not sure because I technically actually haven't really talked to her. So I'm hoping that, she'll, pop up. I'm not really sure. So hopefully she will pop up. Her name is Sarah. I'm going to show you a photo real fast. And then I'll answer that question that came on Periscope. So here is Sarah. Oh, in Periscope, I'm going to have to show you physically. So that's Sarah as far as Ustream goes. Let's see. I got rid of it, and I shouldn't have gotten rid of it, but hold on, Periscope. You'll join the party in a second. Just give me a second. I try to email her, but she's not responding to email, and so I don't have her number. Technically, Frances has her number, but I don't want to call her on a number that she didn't give me. She only gave to Frances. So, can't see the screen, but that is Sarah. So, Ustream, you can see her. Now, Periscope, y'all can see her. I had to block out her boobies for obvious reasons. So, yeah, she will hopefully be the special guest for next week. She has done figure modeling for Francis and other artists, so we will kind of pick her brain about that and see her point of view. I don't like the angle of Periscope being right there. Sorry, I didn't really appreciate that, all up in my goods. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Now, as far as I'll talk to Francis, I'll have him give her a call or something. But as far as your question, has a model ever peed on themselves while holding a pose, or even have I peed on myself while holding a pose? No, that hasn't happened with me. I've never heard stories of models, like female models or even male models, peeing on themselves. But I hope Francis doesn't, mind me sharing this story. But because there's no names to it other than Francis. But I remember Francis telling a story that he actually, because it's not only female models that do figure modeling, they need male models. They need to know how to draw the male body too. So when it comes down to males, Francis had one experience, or maybe I feel like he might have had a couple experiences, but definitely for sure one, where it was an older male and fit and everything like that. And he was holding a pose, but he had early, ejaculation. His, pee-pee, I don't know, I said it like a 5-year-old. His penis wasn't hard or anything. It's just, I'm not a guy, so I don't know what happens down there. But he had pre-ejaculation, and it's just a thing that ends up happening. So, that happens, but you don't laugh at it. It just fucking happens. So you just keep doing your thing, and they keep doing their thing. So yeah, I've heard that that's happened. So I've never experienced it before, but yeah. Thanks for starting the newsletters back. Oh, no problem, JR. After last week when you came on, it was like, what the fuck up with these newsletters? I decided, fine, JR came on Periscope or Ustream and brought it back, so let me just start my newsletters. So yes, thank you, JR, actually. So for those that do not know, hold on, sorry, I'm not mad at the one, okay, along those same lines, Shima, have you ever had something like that happen? Okay, I'm gonna come back to that. So for those that do not know or have never known before, l.shima has newsletters. What are these newsletters, you ask? Well, these newsletters are the best thing that has ever happened into the entire world. Look at my forearms. Can we just establish my forearm masculinity right now? Like, damn, son. Like, I'm gonna screenshot this forearms. Okay, sorry. Okay. So what are these newsletters? These newsletters are so awesome. These newsletters are so awesome because they are little somewhat personalized emails that I send to y'all through your email that you get once a week that kind of gives you an update on what's going on with my life. If you can't wait for every Sunday for Be Cool, it's an update on what's going on in my life. Plus, it gives you a little insight on certain photos. So I might give you a sneak peek of a photo before it's actually posted on social media. So you'll get like the first ever seeing of a photo of me. Or it gives you the history of a photo that, the behind the scenes. So if there's a photo that you really loved of me, so say, I'm going to try to think of a photo of me. What's the most recent photo of me? The most recent photo of me on Instagram, well, not on Instagram, but on Tumblr is the one with my fucking mega bra. That photo, if you wanted to know the behind the scenes, I might post that photo and with a description of what's happening in the behind the scenes of that photo. If you also, for some reason, do not know where YouTube and SoundCloud is for these episodes and you missed out, the newsletter will also attach an awesome fucking link to the most current episode of Be Cool. Would you be up to doing virtual posing next time? That might be a good idea. I'm not going to be naked, no, because that can't happen on Periscope. Actually, I don't know if that can happen on Periscope, but it definitely can happen on Ustream. So maybe not naked, but maybe I'll think of an episode of virtual posing. I can't spell virtual, but, just I'm going to guess how to spell it. But yeah, so the newsletter is, pretty much that. So if you want to know about the newsletter or if you want to join the newsletter like you asked, I totally did not spell virtual right, but thank you for correcting me. All you have to do is let me pull it up for ya. Hold on, give me a second. So all you gotta do is go to l.shima.tumblr.com. It should still be there. And then when you go to l.shima.tumblr.com, you have to be actually online because my Tumblr page on the phone doesn't really look like it should look like. So just do it on the computer if anything. But yeah, go to my Tumblr page. And then on the very top, you'll see like l.shima/model. Then you'll see like home, ask, in very small font. Ignore that. Actually, no, yeah, ignore that. On the very bottom of the biggest little images, it says sign up for newsletter. Click the sign up for newsletter button. It will take you to a page where it says l.shima newsletter, and you have to fill out your email address, your first and last name, and your birthday. Also, if you can add what can your eyes handle, because some photos may involve nudity, some photos might not. So it's nice for me to know if you can't accept nudity, so I can blur it out or make it safe for work or whatever. So, and all you have to do is just fill out those 5 little things and then subscribe to list, and bam, there you go. So that's how you join my newsletter. So one of y'all asked, sorry, I think it was the one, asked me, are you asking, have I ever ejaculated or something? I can't remember, during a modeling shoot or like a figure modeling session, and no, that's never happened. I honestly swear to God, that's never happened. Even when I saw Francis, no, that's never happened. TMI. But no, seriously, that's never honestly happened before. So, all right, guys. Well, yeah, so that's newsletters. We got hopefully special guest Sarah. I'll have Francis talk to Sarah again, just to make sure she's coming back. For sure, if Sarah is going to happen, then you'll see me post about Sarah this week, like I do on my social media with the poster and stuff. If she's not going to show up, then you won't see that poster, and you will just get the information about Sunday, literally at the time of Sunday. Francis, even though you caught her eye, she ain't busting that wind. You make me feel I don't even know. Alright, guys, y'all are just being silly, and I gotta go because my throat hurts. So, any more questions at all? Any about figure modeling, about, I don't know, about anything? Okay. Derek is laughing, and take care, and Romeo is laughing with Derek, and yeah, y'all are just being silly. Alright, guys, good night, everyone, and to have a fabulous night. Tune in to next episode on next Sunday. I'm feeling there's something I should announce, but I think I announced everything, so yeah, special guest, newsletter, I think I got everything covered. But alright, guys, thanks for tuning in, and y'all have a fabulous effing night. And again, seriously, if you're watching this later, send me a message on how your week's going. I like to know. And also, sorry, don't leave yet. I lost a person on Periscope. But on the newsletters, you can also reply to the emails. So if you do that, I can also send you an email back. So it's nice. You can talk to anyone that follows the newsletter. They will tell you how often that I actually really try to respond. So, alright, good night. 3:15 a.m. Holy shit, good night, man. That's fucking only 2:15 here. Good night, good night, good night. Good night, everyone on Periscope. Toodles. Mwah. Stop broadcast. And thanks everyone on Ustream, like always. Y'all were fabulous. So thanks. Night Alejandro, night JR, night Maxell, night Anonymous. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Alright, let's do it. Do it to it.